In a world overwhelmed by noise and distractions, many are feeling an inner emptiness, searching for something deeper, something more meaningful. Yet amidst this chaos, a quiet revolution is taking place, a return to truth, peace, and purpose. Islam, with its timeless wisdom and transformative power, is emerging as the light guiding souls back to their true nature. It's not being imposed, it is being remembered. In this journey, we will explore how Islam is not just a religion, but a way of life that speaks to the heart, heals the soul, and offers the peace that this world desperately craves. In today's fast-paced world, the constant presence of digital devices, media overload, and endless consumer distractions has created a culture of noise, both external and internal. Many people, particularly in Western societies, are surrounded by options, yet find themselves feeling increasingly lost, disconnected, and empty on a deeper level. Despite advancements in technology and comfort, a sense of meaninglessness is quietly settling in for many. This emotional and spiritual fatigue has led people to search for something more enduring, something that speaks not to trends or superficial satisfaction, but to the core of their being. Amid this chaos, a quiet shift is occurring. People are beginning to pause, to reflect, and to seek stillness. This stillness is not about silence in the physical sense, but refers to a calmness of the soul, a spiritual tranquility that arises when one begins to question the purpose of life, the direction of society, and their own personal path. It is in this space of reflection that many are being drawn to Islam, not through dramatic events or aggressive outreach, but through a gentle and natural pull, a curiosity sparked by observing the discipline, peace, and certainty found in the lives of Muslims. This movement towards stillness is subtle yet powerful. It's happening in coffee shops, during late-night thoughts, through random online videos, or simply while watching someone pray. In a world that celebrates noise, this turn toward quiet contemplation is radical. And for many, it is in this stillness that the heart becomes open to truth, to faith, and to a sense of peace that cannot be found in the constant chatter of modern life. Islam is often misunderstood in the West as a foreign or new religion, yet for many who encounter it sincerely, it feels deeply familiar. This is because Islam speaks to something innate within the human soul, a longing for purpose, clarity, and connection to something greater than oneself. Rather than being introduced for the first time, Islam is being remembered. Its message resonates as something that was always known, but perhaps forgotten in the rush and distraction of modern life. In a world dominated by materialism, individualism, and fleeting pleasures, people are beginning to feel the weight of spiritual emptiness. Promises of happiness through wealth, success, or endless freedom often fail to deliver lasting fulfillment. The soul, however, continues to search. It longs for meaning that goes beyond temporary highs or surface-level achievements. This is where Islam enters, not as a new ideology, but as a timeless truth that aligns with the natural disposition of the human heart. The teachings of Islam offer a comprehensive worldview, one that explains our origin, purpose, and destiny. It does not separate spirituality from daily life, but rather integrates belief into every action and intention. For those who explore Islam with an open mind, its clarity and depth often feel like a homecoming. The emphasis on justice, mercy, and balance speaks to universal human values, while its rituals and practices create structure and rhythm in a chaotic world. Many in the West are discovering that Islam does not ask them to become someone else, but rather to become their true selves. It calls the soul back to its original state, to a way of life that feels natural and grounding. As a result, Islam is not spreading through pressure or persuasion. Modern life often measures success and happiness through material achievements, wealth, status, luxury, and convenience. People are taught to chase after the next big thing, believing that comfort and security will bring peace of mind. However, many eventually come to realize that no matter how much they acquire, the sense of inner peace remains elusive. There's a quiet unrest that lingers, even in the most privileged lives. This is because true peace doesn't come from external possessions. It comes from within. Islam offers a kind of peace that transcends the temporary satisfaction of worldly gains. It introduces a spiritual calm that emerges from knowing one's creator and understanding the purpose of existence. This peace is not dependent on circumstances. Whether someone is rich or poor, healthy or struggling, the connection with God provides an anchor, a deep-rooted tranquility that cannot be shaken by life's ups and downs. At the heart of Islam is the idea of surrender, of letting go of constant control and trusting in divine wisdom. This surrender doesn't lead to weakness, but to strength. It frees the believer from anxiety over what cannot be controlled and instead instills patience, gratitude, and trust. Through practices like daily prayer, remembrance of God, and acts of charity, the believer nurtures a sense of purpose that is consistent and fulfilling. This spiritual foundation creates a peace that is not easily disturbed. In a society driven by comparison and competition, Islam invites individuals to turn inward, to seek contentment in faith rather than in fleeting pleasures. It teaches that true richness is not in material wealth, but in the heart that is at ease. For many exploring Islam, this inner peace is what stands out most, a serenity that remains, regardless of the world's noise or chaos. The Quran stands as a central source of guidance in Islam, offering not just laws and teachings, but a deep spiritual connection for those who seek truth. For over 1,400 years, its message has remained unchanged, continuing to speak to the hearts of people across cultures, languages, and generations. In an era where everything feels temporary and rapidly shifting, the Quran offers something rare: clarity, consistency, and timeless wisdom. For many in the West who begin exploring Islam, reading the Quran often feels like looking into a mirror. It speaks directly to the human soul, addressing inner struggles, doubts, hopes, and fears. It acknowledges pain, loss, and confusion, but also offers comfort, purpose, and direction. The Quran doesn't shy away from life's complexities. Instead, it provides a framework for understanding them. Its verses touch on both the intimate experiences of the individual and the broader challenges facing society. What makes the Quran especially impactful is the balance it holds. It combines powerful spiritual truths with practical guidance. It calls for self-reflection while urging action. It promotes justice and mercy, humility and strength. For those caught in a world filled with conflicting voices and moral uncertainty, the Quran becomes a compass offering clear principles and a grounded perspective. Unlike many books that lose relevance over time, the Quran continues to feel fresh and alive to its readers. Its language, rhythm, and message move the heart and mind, even when read in translation. Many describe the experience of reading it as personal, as if the words are speaking directly to them and their circumstances. In a time when many feel lost or unsure of what to believe, the Quran presents itself as a steady voice, firm, compassionate, and deeply resonant with the soul. The life of Prophet Muhammad serves as a living model of Islamic teachings in action. He was not only a spiritual leader, but also a statesman, teacher, friend, father, and neighbor. Through his character and conduct, he showed how faith is lived with sincerity, compassion, and integrity. For those discovering Islam, it is often the personality and example of the Prophet that deeply resonates and brings the teachings of Islam to life. His approach to people, regardless of their background, status, or beliefs, was marked by mercy and fairness. He stood firmly for justice, even when it was unpopular or came at personal cost. He showed gentleness to the weak, forgiveness to those who wronged him, and humility despite his position of influence. These qualities form the foundation of his example and continue to inspire millions around the world. In a time when leadership is often associated with power and self-interest, the Prophet's life presents a striking contrast. He led by serving others, listening with empathy, and treating everyone with respect. His actions were not motivated by personal gain, but by a sincere desire to uplift others and fulfill his duty to God. For many who explore Islam, this type of leadership rooted in ethics and love feels refreshing and profoundly human. Beyond his actions, the Prophet's daily habits and personal interactions also reflect deep spiritual awareness. Whether it was how he ate, how he spoke, or how he prayed, everything he did was purposeful and rooted in gratitude. For new and curious minds, this example is not distant or abstract. It is accessible and relatable. It offers a full picture of how Islam can be lived in every moment, not as a burden, but as a natural expression of faith and goodness. The rise of Islam in the West is not being driven by loud campaigns, mass advertising, or public pressure. Instead, it is unfolding quietly through personal reflection and authentic encounters. Individuals are discovering Islam not through force or persuasion, but through observation, experience, and sincere curiosity. This transformation is deeply personal, often beginning with simple, everyday moments that spark a deeper search for meaning. For some, it starts with witnessing a Muslim calmly praying in a public space. For others, it may come from reading a few verses of the Quran or having a heartfelt conversation with a Muslim friend. These encounters leave a lasting impression. The discipline, peace, and spiritual focus shown by practicing Muslims stand out in a world that often feels chaotic and rushed. These quiet moments raise questions about life's purpose, inner peace, and the nature of truth. As people begin to explore, they find that Islam offers clear, consistent answers. There is no flashy presentation or emotional manipulation, only a deep invitation to think, reflect, and connect with the Creator. The more they learn, the more they see that Islam is not just a religion of rituals, but a complete and balanced way of life. It appeals to both the heart and the mind. This type of transformation often happens in silence. There are no crowds, no headlines, just individuals quietly reconnecting with their soul. Many converts describe feeling a sense of coming home, as if Islam filled a space they had long felt was missing. It is this inner journey, born out of personal discovery and genuine seeking, that is shaping a new wave of understanding and connection with Islam in the West. Each story may begin differently, but they all share a common thread: truth recognized not through noise, but through stillness. In many parts of the Western world, Islam is often portrayed through a distorted lens. Media narratives frequently highlight negativity, focusing on stereotypes or associating Islam with conflict and extremism. Despite these ongoing misrepresentations, Muslims across the West continue to live their faith with pride, resilience, and unwavering commitment. This quiet strength challenges the false images and creates space for more honest and human portrayals of Muslims in the West. Navigate a complex environment. They may face discrimination, suspicion, or social isolation simply for practicing their religion, whether it's wearing hijab, taking time to pray, or following dietary restrictions. Yet instead of abandoning their beliefs, many hold even more firmly to them. Their devotion in the face of pressure becomes a powerful statement, one that reflects sincerity, not stubbornness. Practices like daily prayer, fasting during Ramadan, giving in charity, and dressing modestly are more than rituals. They are visible signs of faith and identity. When these acts are carried out consistently, even under scrutiny or criticism, they naturally draw attention. For outsiders looking in, this kind of dedication raises curiosity. Why do Muslims continue to hold on to these practices, even when it's difficult? What gives them such inner strength? Through everyday interactions at work, in schools, in neighborhoods, Muslims are quietly redefining public perceptions. Their patience, kindness, and integrity slowly dismantle false assumptions. Each act of dignity and grace becomes a form of silent resistance to the noise of misinformation. More importantly, it becomes a living example of what Islam truly represents. Rather than blending in or hiding their beliefs, Muslims are showing that faith is something to be honored and lived openly. Their presence is becoming a mirror, reflecting not only who they are, but also what Islam looks like when practiced with sincerity and strength. A new generation of Muslim voices is emerging across the West, confident, educated, and deeply rooted in both their faith and their society. These are scholars, speakers, influencers, and community leaders who are reshaping how Islam is seen and understood. With clarity, compassion, and intellectual depth, they are offering a fresh perspective that speaks directly to the hearts and minds of a diverse audience. Unlike the traditional portrayals that often reduce Islam to rigid practices or political narratives, these voices highlight its spiritual depth, moral beauty, and universal relevance. They are fluent in both Islamic tradition and contemporary culture, bridging gaps that have long created misunderstandings. Whether through podcasts, lectures, social media, or community work, they are creating spaces for honest dialogue and thoughtful exploration. What sets this generation apart is their ability to speak in a language that resonates with modern audiences without compromising on authenticity. They address real-life challenges, identity, mental health, spirituality, social justice, and purpose through the lens of Islamic values. This makes their message relatable, especially for young Muslims who are trying to navigate their faith in increasingly complex societies. Their influence is not confined to Muslim communities. Non-Hustles are also engaging with their content, asking questions and learning about Islam in a more accurate and humanized way. Through respectful dialogue and thoughtful representation, these individuals are dismantling stereotypes and replacing them with understanding. This shift is helping to redefine the narrative around Islam in the West. Instead of being spoken about, Muslims are now speaking for themselves, with wisdom, confidence, and grace. They are not just defending their faith, but presenting it as a timeless and relevant path, a way of life that addresses both the soul's longing and the realities of the modern world. For many in the West, the understanding of Islam is limited to headlines or surface-level observations. However, as people take a closer look, they begin to see that Islam is not just a set of beliefs, it is a way of life. It shapes how Muslims think, act, and interact with the world around them. From the moment they wake up to the time they sleep, their lives are guided by principles that bring structure, meaning, and purpose. This daily practice is not rigid or mechanical, but deeply intentional. Simple actions like saying a prayer before eating, greeting others with peace, or giving to someone in need are all part of living Islam. These moments, though small, are filled with spiritual consciousness. They create a rhythm to life that centers the soul and keeps it connected to the Creator. Prayer is a cornerstone of this lifestyle. 5 times a day, Muslims pause their daily routine to turn inward, reflect, and reconnect with God. This regular act of devotion grounds them, offering peace and clarity in a busy world. Fasting, especially during the month of Ramadan, trains the body and heart to be patient, grateful, and mindful. Charity, another pillar of Islam, fosters empathy and a sense of responsibility toward others. Family life also reflects Islamic values: respect for parents, strong community ties, and raising children with kindness and moral guidance. In a society where many feel isolated or overwhelmed, the sense of belonging and clarity found in Muslim homes stands out. As people observe how Islam shapes everyday life with intention, compassion, and consistency, they begin to see its beauty more clearly. It's not just about belief, it's about how belief is lived. This lived experience often becomes the most compelling introduction to the truth and depth of Islam. The rise of Islam in the West can be seen as a return to Fitra, which in Islamic teachings refers to the natural state of the human soul. Fitra is the inherent disposition toward goodness, truth, and a connection with the Creator that all humans are born with. It is the pure, untainted part of the soul that resonates with truth and spirituality. As modern society increasingly distances itself from spirituality and meaning, many individuals are beginning to feel disconnected from their true nature. This disconnection is often marked by feelings of emptiness, confusion, and a longing for something more substantial. In this context, Islam offers a way to reconnect with Fitra. It is not about converting to something new or foreign, but about returning to an original state of being, one that is grounded in a natural, inherent understanding of truth. Islam helps individuals rediscover this inner connection through its teachings, practices, and rituals, which align with the natural inclinations of the soul. People in the West, in particular, are finding that Islam answers deep existential questions in a way that modern ideologies often fail to. In a world that promotes individualism and material success, Islam provides a framework for community, spirituality, and purpose that feels deeply natural. It addresses the needs of the soul that have been neglected or misunderstood in secular societies. The call to prayer, the fast during Ramadan, the charity given to others, all these practices are not just rituals, but reminders of the deeper spiritual connection that all humans seek at their core. This return to Fitra through Islam is not just a personal journey, but a collective awakening. It is a movement back to what is authentic, real, and unchanging in a world that is constantly shifting. Islam offers not just guidance, but a way to live in harmony with the true nature of the soul. The growing interest in Islam in the West is not just a trend, but a deep spiritual awakening. As people search for meaning, peace, and connection, they are finding that Islam offers timeless truths, practical guidance, and a way of life that resonates with the soul's natural disposition. Through personal discovery and quiet transformation, many are returning to a faith that has always been present, waiting to guide them toward a more purposeful existence. Thank you for taking the time to explore these insights. I wish you all the best on your journey of understanding and discovery. Good luck.